Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to this Node Talk on payments. My name is Brenton Melville, and I am our commercial lead here on our payments initiative with Avinode. Today, I'm going to give a presentation around payments in the air charter industry. First, we're going to cover some of the challenges that we see in the industry today around payments, and then we're going to dive into some of the trends that we're seeing in the general payment space and how they can impact our industry when it comes to payments. Hopefully, there's some takeaways here at the end of all this and give you some insights into how we can improve our own processes when it comes to collecting payments in our inflows. So payments are at the core of business aviation, but it is filled with challenges. Really, payments are at the core of most businesses. All businesses need to be able to collect payments for the goods and services that they sell. Of course, within business aviation, there are some unique challenges, which means that collecting payments isn't as always as streamlined as it could be. So these are some of the challenges that we understand from as we speak to many of our members today. Dealing with high value transactions is obviously unusual compared to other industries. They obviously attract a higher level of compliance. Having to deal with wire and credit card fraud as well. Trying to navigate in the space when it comes to credit card contracts and choosing which credit card processor which is happy to service business aviation, which is often deemed as a high-risk industry. Trusting customers, how do you know which type of customers are out there that can pay? If a client agrees to pay you, will they pay you on time? How do you avoid being in a situation where you have to chase payments or even risk non-payment? And sometimes when you're dealing with international payments, there can be hidden fees and some unclear costs associated with that. So this slide here, this is some research done, and it's sort of 46% of all credit card fraud happens within the airline industry, which is obviously quite a large percentage of fraud just for one industry. The reason why airlines are much more affected for credit card fraud is just the way that payments are done within the airline industry. So typically, most airline tickets are paid for online via credit card, which means the card is not present. And also, these are higher value transactions, which create a bit more of a recipe for fraudulent activities. So why is this interesting to business aviation? Well, because in business aviation, we have actually much higher transaction values. That combined with the fact that many trips are booked last minute or ad hoc, just creates a higher environment for fraud. Even if credit cards are not necessarily the primary choice for charter, they still make up roughly about 10% of charter payments. On this next slide here, this is actually from our own data. So we can see that 1/3 of all trips or charter trips that are booked are requested within 72 hours of departure. So this creates an environment where operators and brokers need to ensure that they want to collect payments before the flight takes off. And with such a short time frame, sometimes that can be fairly straightforward. However, sometimes, depending on the situation, if it happens to involve around a weekend where there's no time for a bank wire or an international payments, this can add to some extra stress levels around payments. Which leads us to this next slide, which is all around trusting customers. So working with new partners or new clients, it's very hard and difficult to know who you can trust and if they will indeed pay for the flight that their services with you. So is this a partner that I can trust? Will the person who said that they were going to pay actually pay? And on the flip side, when a broker is potentially dealing with an operator that they haven't worked with before, maybe even an operator in another continent or region, there's always a little bit of uncertainty there around sending 50, 60,000 euros. How do we know that this operator is going to fulfill their obligations as agreed? And if there are any issues going on, I mean, the stress around having to chase down a refund for a payment can also add to some stress levels around payments. Another challenge we see is specifically when we look at international trips and international payments. Again, this is from our own Avinode statistics. We see that for European operators receiving requests, 25% of those requests received are actually originating from a broker who is based outside of Europe. meaning that, of course, local SEPA transfers are not an option for payment, and they need to rely on international SWIFT payments, which take a lot longer and can also involve often hidden FX fees by the intermediary banks. And of those, 10% come from cross-Atlantic from US brokers. So again, while not the majority of trips, still quite a large portion of trips are booked in an environment where these local SEPA payments is not possible. So now we looked at some of the challenges. We're going to dive into some of the trends that we are seeing in the overall payment space and sort of how we see that these can affect our business. So in the age of e-commerce, customers are increasingly expecting a seamless and quick transaction process. So when we think of other industries, how you buy something online from Amazon, how you book an Uber in a rideshare app, these are all seamless booking and payment experiences that we sort of take for granted. This, of course, is not reflective of how a private jet charter is booked. There's a lot more touch points. There's a lot of back and forth. It's not a great process, and it's certainly, we're an industry where there's much room for improvement for streamlining these processes. So this is a study from the Luxury Institute, and it shows that 78% of luxury customers are more likely to buy from a luxury brand if it has a strong online presence. Obviously, when we look at our business selling private charter jets, selling private charter trips, it doesn't get much more luxury than that trip as well. So it just highlights the importance to have a strong online presence, but that extends beyond just a strong website and brand, but also further into the overall buying experience that the client has in interaction with your brands. So over the last couple of years, we actually have seen a rise of digital payment platforms stepping in, offering some innovative solutions in an area where traditional banks have been lacking a little bit. As a result, we're seeing platforms where payments can be made with notifications, real-time tracking. We see faster payments and sometimes even instant payments emerging, and easier cross-currency and cross-border transactions, simplifying and shortening the time it takes to receive international payments. Now, with this changing payment landscape, we see here that there are a lot of companies in the space. It is very busy. We have a traditional payment gateways and platforms there. And then, of course, there are a lot of very industry-specific, smaller fintech companies entering different spaces, looking to see how they can solve specific challenges to sub-industries. The question is, it's very difficult to sort of navigate this very busy space and finding a payment partner which is going to be able to provide solutions that are going to help the specific challenges that we have in our businesses or we have as an industry as a whole. So if you're out there and you realize that you do have some challenges in your payment processes today, and you're looking out there to see what solutions are on offer, these are some of the things that you might want to be interested in, some of the things that we see that a lot of our customers are looking for, whether it's a simplified workflow between teams, a platform that helps you vet customers and transactions. Perhaps it's something to reduce some of the headache from the finance team, making reconciliation of payments and transactions a bit more streamlined. And of course, finding a payment partner who can handle the high value transactions that we see in business aviation is obviously going to be very important. So with that, we of course are building in an online booking experience and payment experience, integrating that into the Avinode workflow. If any of you have heard or are interested in hearing any more about this, it would be great to come and speak to either myself, Lisa from our payments team, or any of us. We would love to show you what we're doing in the space, get some feedback from you, and really see if this is something where we might be able to assist you guys and reduce some of the challenges that you have. And that brings me to this last slide. Thank you for joining in today. Anybody who is interested, we also have a web shop where we provide reports, charter trend reports, pricing. You can see different routes, which are more popular charter routes. With this promo code, we'd love to give you a free report on our website, so you can use that QR code and take that on our website. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.